All right, guys, it's been 2 weeks since the election. And let's get started with the top 10 worst polling companies. Now, remember, we rely on these polling companies, right? But now we get to rate them. Here we go. Let's get started. Let's start with number 10, Marist. All right. Now, Marist did a poll with NPR and PBS together. They had Harris +4 in a national poll. That's a 5-point miss. They also did a polling on their own in Florida. Listen to this. They had Trump up by 4. It's a 9-point miss in Florida. You think they need to redo their Florida numbers? They had Senator Scott winning by 2. That is an 11-point miss from where the final number was at 13. Now, number 9 on our list, UMass Lowell College. They had in Michigan in the Senate race, Slotkin up by 13 there. That is a 12-point miss in one poll. Now, UMass had so many bad polls, I can't even mention them here. But Michigan, their number 1 poll, missed by 12 points. That takes us to number 8. Number 8 on our list, Cook Political Report. I put this out there just for one poll that they did. Now, they had many others, but they had in Nevada, Rosen up by 13. In Nevada, they missed by 11.5 points in one poll. 11.5 points in one poll. Cook, you're in our number 8 spot. Coming in at number 7 is Morning Consult pollsters. Here's what they had. They had Trump up by 5 in Florida. That was a miss by 8 points. They had in Florida again, Rick Scott only up by 3 points. That was a miss by 11 points. Well, how about this? They also had Michigan, Harris up by 4. That was a miss by 5 points. So there you go. Number 7 was Morning Consult. Number 6, grade A rated, right? Emerson did it always with the Hill and Emerson together. Listen, wait till this laundry list I got for you. Let's start with Emerson with a WJW TV. They did a dual poll. Emerson did the polling for them. In Ohio, they had Brown up by 10 in Ohio. That is a 14. That's a 14-point miss in Ohio. 14-point miss by Emerson. Now, let's get to Florida. They had Scott up by 4. It ended up being 13. That's a 9-point miss. Baldwin in Wisconsin, they had up by 6. That's a 5-point miss. Texas, they had Trump only winning by 4. That's a 10-point miss. In Texas, Senator Cruz, they only had him up by 1. It's a 7.5-point miss. That's the Hill. Emerson comes in at number 6. Now, as we lead to the top 5 worst polling companies out there. Not a surprise at all. Again, New York Times. They had such a laundry list, we can't even count them all, but let's get to their top 3 misses. Arizona. In Rosen, they had winning by 9. That's a 7.5-point miss. Arizona, Harris up by 3. 8-point miss in Arizona. Ohio, they had Brown up by 4. It's a 7-point miss. Okay, let's move to number 4. CNN. Is this starting to make sense here? CNN. Here's their top 3 misses. At number 4, Pennsylvania. They had Casey winning by 6. 7-point miss. Wisconsin. Harris by 6. 7-point miss. Arizona. Rosen plus 9. That's a 7.5-point miss. I mean, who are they polling? What is their strategy? Unbelievable. Now, we get to number 3. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to scream it out loud exactly who this is going to be. The worst polling company out there, I can't stand them. I don't even know who's running them. I have no idea how it's possible they're still in business. Who is calling up this company saying that we should be paying these people for their numbers? Number 3, Quinnipiac polling company. I'll give you 4 of them. Harris winning Wisconsin by 6, missed by 7. Rosen winning by 9 in Arizona, 7.5-point miss. Casey winning Pennsylvania by 6, 7-point miss. Slotkin in Michigan winning by 8, a 7.5-point miss. They're just off by 7 points wherever they go. Number 2 on our list, the Nostradamus of them all, the famous, the world famous. He likes to think of himself as the predictor of all elections. Alan Lichtman. Alan, the 13 keys. Well, 13's an unlucky number. This year, you're unlucky, Alan. Alan Lichtman, who likes to think of himself, who got on and said early on, I give him a lot of credit, Harris is going to win. Then,
who do you predict, sir, will win the 2024 presidential election?
Based on my system, the keys to the White House, which has been right since I predicted Ronald Reagan's re-election in April 1982, Kamala Harris will become the first woman president.
When the Harris numbers start looking good with a week to go, he gets on every broadcast in the world. Says, see, I told you, the 13 keys are coming back home. We're going to hit it again. Confident all over the place. Boy, did anybody watch Alan on election night with his head in his hands on his podcast that he had? Now, here's the problem with Alan. Alan thinks he's so great. He got on everywhere and said, I'm going to be right. You don't need to do that. Just put your prediction out there. If you're wrong, you're wrong. But here's his other problem. After he loses, who does he blame? He blames Fox and X for handing out misinformation. Okay? Now, everybody knows social media is so far left until Musk bought X, but then the one group X that's either telling the truth or leans right, he has to blame. What about the 99% of other left media, Alan? What about them? So he blames Fox and X on the Cuomo show on Newsmax. Then he talks about the dark side of the American history. This is what he's blaming it on. The xenophobia. The anti-Semitism in the country is the reason why I was wrong. And racism is the reason why I'm wrong. I didn't put that into my 13 keys. Alan, 13 is an unlucky number. Be careful next time you do your next prediction. But as bad as Alan is, it takes us to number one. The Des Moines Register and Seltzer, number one on our list. How can't it be? And while the Harris campaign, a little bit behind on the polls, makes the push in the final weekend, here comes Ann Seltzer, hands Harris on a platter, shocks the world. She has Harris up by 3 in Iowa, the most respected pollster in the world. Everybody loves Ann. Well, something went wrong with Ann this time. Ann missed by 17 points in Iowa. Have you ever heard of a poll missing by 17 points? So, Ann, here's the problem I have with Ann. Ann gets so much press by this Iowa +3. She's on every broadcast on video, just like Alan, right? The ego gets you. And this is what you should have said. Hey, I'm putting out a poll. It's going to be controversial because certainly it doesn't fit what we thought it was going to be. It doesn't fit our model, what we thought it was going to be. This is the way the polling came back. I want to be honest. If it's wrong, it's going to be a miss, and we'll have to go back and look at it. But I have to be honest and put this number out there. Do I personally agree with it? Maybe not. And I don't really see the winds going that way. But why Ann would stick with this, get on every news organization, and egotistically talk about her poll and how great it is, and that she believes in the poll, and they fed her these questions, meatball questions. Here you go, softball questions. Ann, is there anything in the poll that you may find a little off? No. Is there any way that you may have changed it differently than the way you polled? No. What about the discrepancy of Republicans to Democrats? No. What about the seniors that you were off on the poll? No. And that's the problem with Ann. 17-point miss. And when you don't evaluate yourself and you have this certain structure and you're not bending with the times are different, Ann. The times are different. And that puts Ann as the number one list of all time. And what happens when time passes you by? Ann Seltzer quits. She goes from the most accurate, the most respected, the most famous, rated the best pollster in the world, to quitting. Ann Seltzer has been taken down by President-elect Trump. Another victim, as she's rated in our top 10, the worst pollster, and now she has quit. So that, guys, that is our top 10. Hope you enjoyed it. Keep watching. We have more to come. We'll talk to you soon.